All right, the exciting question I'm going to answer for you is, how do you make bruschetta, and what is it? Now, a lot of people pronounce it bruschetta in this country, but really it's pronounced bruschetta. The CH is kind of silent. So this is traditionally a nice little, what I would call Italian tapas, if you will, or an Italian canopy. And, you know, the funny thing is, every society that has some sort of developed and advanced cooking has another way of saying the word canopy, which is the French way of saying food on a little piece of some kind of bread or cracker or something like that. Tapas, in Spain, for example, is served on a piece of bread with a little lettuce and some food on it. And this, what we're going to make for you today real quick, is an Italian version of a canopy, which is a little food on a piece of bread. Now, I have a little bit of French bread for an Italian item today, but you can certainly use any kind of bread that you want that you can get cut into a piece the size that you want to use as a bite-sized piece. Bruschetta, traditionally, it's very simple. It's chopped tomatoes, olive oil, basil, a little bit of garlic, salt, and pepper, served on a piece of bread. Now, traditionally, you take a piece of bread like this and cut it like this, and then you pop it on the grill. That's very common, but you don't have to. You can also even put a little bit of garlic butter on it if you want. I'm going to make you a basic bruschetta, and then I'm going to embellish it with another version of my bruschetta, if you will. I hate to use that term, my bruschetta, because bruschetta is owned by the whole world. It can't be mine. It's like me telling you I'm going to give you my Caesar salad, or my gazpacho soup, or my bouillabaisse, all these old traditional things, and bruschetta is one of those things. There's a reasonable expectation associated with eating it, and I always like to satisfy that craving if I think that the person I'm serving it to has that craving. But here we go. We got diced tomatoes, and I'm going to dice a little bit more tomato here for you. Now, you can use fresh tomato concasse, which we have a video icon for if you'd like, that includes removing the skin and the seeds from the tomato, but it's not necessary, and you could do it. Either way, it's very good. It's basically some medium, small diced tomatoes, and I'm going to put them in a bowl. And the chopped basil, I'm going to take a little bit of fresh basil. Yeah, let's get that out of the way. Kind of ball that up a little bit. This is a nice, very easy to make, and if you do it properly, meaning, don't start adding a whole bunch of stuff to it that might take away from the simplicity of it. So it's a really nice, simple hors d'oeuvre. It's something great for the holidays. So a little bit of basil. I'm going to put a little bit of garlic in there. And I'm going to put a little bit of good extra virgin olive oil in here. And I'm going to mix that up with a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt. Now that, all by itself, let me taste that first. That, all by itself, is bruschetta. Excuse me. Now you can serve that just like it is on a piece of bread, like so. And you'll make everybody happy with that. Now I'm going to show you another way of embellishing the bruschetta with a few more ingredients. I have some Kalamata olives that I pitted just by pushing the pits out, like that. And then I chop them up a little bit here, which they need to be chopped a little bit more. I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. And I'm going to put some small capers in there. And I'm going to put a few little green scallions in there. Now all of a sudden, instead of regular old bruschetta, which is real good all by itself, this is what I would call a little bit of a Mediterranean-style tomato relish. This is a tomato relish, too, the bruschetta is. And this is a tomato relish that has more stuff in it. So I would just fill up my pieces of bread again like that. You could also put a basket of the bread and a bowl of the relish on the table, and people could make their own if you wanted to. Because if you want to make these too far ahead of time, unless the bread's a little bit more toastier than this, because the oil may make the bread soggy, and you want to have a little bit of crispiness left on the bread. So let's just cut a couple more pieces of bread here. Pretty easy, isn't it? This is a nice, simple one. And I got to tell you something. This particular combination of formula has a tendency to satisfy people real quick, too. And not that filling. I love it. This is that earthy Mediterranean olive oil, olive type taste. There you go. There's a little bit of bruschetta with some sort of like a Mediterranean tomato relish with a little bit of basil thrown on for fun. Bruschetta. The CH is silent. It's pronounced bruschetta. It's probably the most well-known Italian hors d'oeuvre in the world. Enjoy this. Use it at any holiday, or just sit around and have this with a little bit of wine and call it a night. Enjoy your bruschetta.